Hi, my name is Eric Rodriguez. I am a onboarding specialist here at Broadloom for the business management software. And today we're going to do a brief dive into the accounts receivable module here in BMS. Starting in our master menu, we're going to go ahead and click into accounts receivable. And then here in our accounts receivable, we're going to go ahead and start off somewhere a little bit different. We're actually going to go and look at our 13th option, sales tax code maintenance. Sales tax code maintenance is considered a required setup item in the system. So typically, this is all completed when you're first onboarding with us. So this is something that you're going to want to make sure is completed and then, of course, kept up with as your sales tax might change over the years. To get started with sales tax code maintenance, we're going to go ahead and click into the module. And the sales tax code maintenance screen will display as you see here. Here in sales tax code maintenance, you can edit and add new sales tax codes as needed. To edit an existing sales tax code, you're going to simply click into the tax code button, and your existing tax codes will display so that you can simply select the tax code that you would like to edit, hit accept, and there you will see the details for that specific tax code so that you can edit it as needed, such as maybe needing to do a percentage update if that happened that year. After any changes have been done, make sure you hit your save button to make sure those changes take place. When you hit save on doing an edit, it's going to let you know that the tax code already exists. So do you just want to do an update? And you'll go ahead and hit yes to make sure that those updates again take place. One last confirmation that your update was successful. However, if you are entering a new tax code, you do have a couple of different ways to get those entered. Entering a new tax code is going to depend on how you need to report your taxes. If you need to report your taxes broken down, such as by county and city, then you would need to make sure you have both tax codes set up for that purpose, one for your county tax and one for your city tax. If you just report your tax code in a lump sum, then you have the ability to go ahead and just add in one tax code to account for that lump sum. To get a new tax code entered, you're going to first start with your tax code. Your tax code is an 8-digit alphanumeric code that is going to simply reference or help you identify the area that you are setting up for this tax. So you will want to make sure that it is clear and it easily references the actual jurisdiction or the area again that we're setting up this tax code for. So our tax code, we will go ahead and start with keeping up with something that again is going to reference our taxing area. The tax jurisdiction is going to be the actual description of where that sales tax code is for. Next field is going to be your tax percent. This is the tax rate for that area. So we'll go ahead and get that entered. Next is your contract tax percent. Contract tax is going to be the same thing as use tax in our system. So if your use tax or contract tax is different from your normal tax percentage, then you can go ahead and enter that rate here. If it is the same, you can go ahead and just enter that in. Your next field is going to be your GL account. This is the account that you are putting your sales tax to. So you can go ahead and click into the GL account button. That will display your full chart of accounts so that you can select the proper account that you would like your sales tax to be routed to. Simply scroll the list, find the account that you're looking for, select it, and hit accept. After you've entered all the details for your sales tax code that you are adding, we're going to go ahead and hit save. Once you hit save, you'll get a confirmation that you were successful on that tax code. And at this point, that tax code we have added is now selectable in our tax code box. So if I go ahead and click that, we can now see the new tax code that we added right up top, Los Angeles tax. Now that we have sales tax code set up, we can go ahead and look at some of these other functions in accounts receivable. The first thing we're going to look at is customer maintenance. So I'll go ahead and click into that module. When you click into customer maintenance, the first thing it's going to do is ask you to select a customer. Here in customer maintenance is where you can do edits on existing customer files or add new customers. To edit an existing customer, you can go ahead and scroll through your list or perform any searches as needed to locate your customer file, highlight them, and select. Once the customer's file is opened, you can edit it as needed. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel just to back out. Again, starting at the customer maintenance screen, if I click into that, our first question is always going to be to select a customer so that we can either edit an existing file. However, you can also add in new customers here in this customer maintenance area as well. To add in a new customer, you have two different options. If you prefer to create your own customer ID, then you can start off by creating that customer ID as you wish. If you are creating customer IDs based off of our recommended methods, you are going to use the first four letters of the last name with the last four digits of the phone number. After you created your customer ID, you can go ahead and hit add. The customer will identify that ID is not in the system and will ask you if you want to go ahead and add them in. We're going to hit yes. After I've hit yes, it brings up the full customer maintenance file so that we can fill out all the details for that new customer that we are adding in. Before we fill this out, we're going to go ahead and cancel back out so you can see the other method of getting a customer started. Returning back to accounts receivable, we're going to do that one last time. Click into a customer maintenance. It's going to ask us to select a customer. However, this time we're going to go ahead and start off with a new customer. And instead of creating a customer ID, you do also have the option to let the system create an ID for you. If you would like the system to do it for you, you start off by hitting your Add New button. The first thing the system is going to ask is for you to enter in the customer's name. You have two different fields for the customer's name. You do not want to use both here in this screen. Here, you are only going to start off with the main customer's name, and you will only want to use either or. The first field is typically used for a business name. The second field is going to be if it's just a normal first and last name customer. So once you've entered in the name, you will move down into the next fields and continuing entering the information. You'll go ahead and put in a phone number and then an email. Once you've entered in the information, your customer ID will be created automatically by the system based off of our suggestions. Once all of the information has been filled out, you can go ahead and hit continue. The system will then recognize that customer is not in the system and will allow you to add them in as a new customer. So we'll hit yes. And now again, we are here in the full customer maintenance file where we can add in all of the details for this customer. So now we'll go ahead and go through these in a little bit of detail. The first field that we have is the name field. This is where you would type in the name for that customer. You do have a secondary long name field, and that is just the ability to enter more characters if the full name does not happen to fit within the first name field. The next field is your sold to information. This is your billing address for the customer. So you'll go ahead and enter that in as necessary. Next, we have our contact information. This will allow you to set up a specific contact or a secondary contact if they are different from the actual name on the customer's file. Or if it is a business name and you need to know who that contact is, you can set that up here. If there is more than one contact, you do have the ability to set up additional contacts here in this contacts button. If you click into that, it'll open up a AR contact screen, which will allow you to record different contacts to that customer's file. Please know that there is some setup that needs to first happen in order to save contacts to a customer, and that is going to be your role maintenance. If you click into role maintenance, this is going to allow you to set up specific roles that need to be assigned to the contacts that you are adding. These roles are just typical job descriptions or actual roles for that person that you are adding to the customer's file. Once you add roles into the system, this will be a system-wide change that you'll be able to select for all of your customers, and you only need to revisit role maintenance if you are adding in new roles. Closing back out, we are here on our AR contact screen. If you are adding in a new contact, you can go ahead and add in the name of that contact and any pertaining information, and making sure that you assign a role to this specific contact. Once you have all of the information you'd like to enter, you can go ahead and hit add, and that contact will be saved to the file. Once you have a specific contact saved, you can now double click to open up that specific contact file. Here in the contact file, beyond just the contact information, down below, you can select different files or documents that this specific contact should be included on whenever you are emailing out of that system. If you would like to make sure this specific contact is receiving a specific document when emailing, you'll simply select that document and double click it. Once that document has an asterisk denoted in there, just hit save. And now that document will always be sent to this specific contact that we just added. Once we're happy with that, we can go ahead and hit close. After we've saved contacts, next we have our email. Beyond next, after email, we have our phone number for the customer, a field for a secondary phone number, and a field for a fax if needed. To go ahead and add in a sales note, we're going to hit the edit button. From here, you'll get the ability to add in that note that you want to display as a sales note. After you have entered your sales note, you will make sure you hit save, and that note will be saved to the file. And when a sales note exists here as so, upon entering any job or quote, this note will pop up on a display box. The next thing we are going to look at is the tax code field. These tax code fields are a required field here in customer maintenance when you are adding a new customer. The system will default to the tax code that was set up as your default tax code during your system setup. If this needs to be changed, you can simply click into the tax code button. From here, you can go ahead and select the tax code that you are wanting to change it to if that is applicable to you. You'll simply select the new tax code and hit accept. Once you've selected your new tax code, that'll be viewable in the field and you can see the full tax percent that is created. After the tax code has been selected, we can finish up our customer file by setting the customer defaults. The first thing we're going to look at is our default job type. This is a required field while setting up a customer. This is going to dictate how your customer is taxed, whether if it is a sales tax or a use tax job. This is something that can be overridden on a per order or quote basis. However, this will be the default for that customer's file. Once it's selected, you will see a display in red saying either contract for a use tax or contract tax, or sales tax for sales tax situations. The next field is your alpha key. This is going to default to the customer ID. The next field we have is our sales tax ID. Use this field to record any sales tax IDs necessary for that customer. The next field after that is our sales territory. This is simply a dropdown allowing you to select how this customer came into your guys' hands. Simply how you heard of us so that you can record how your customers are coming into your guys' business. After your sales territory, you have the customer type option. This is very similar to sales territory. However, this will also give you the ability to do special pricing based off of these customer types. This is not a required field, so if that is not something that pertains to you, you can leave that one blank. The next option we have is to select our salesperson. This will be our default salesperson and can be changed on a per order or quote basis as necessary. So you'll simply select the appropriate salesperson from the drop-down list. You do have the ability to select a secondary salesperson to that account if necessary. Once we filled out all of the necessary fields for our customer, we'll want to go ahead and hit add. And that customer file will have been saved and we can hit OK to confirm that. At that point, that customer has been added to the system. I can now hit exit to go back to our accounts receivable menu. Next thing we're going to look at is we're going to jump down a couple of options to our customer status inquiry. This customer status inquiry will give you a quick overview of that account status and show you anything that is open on their account or anything that is also just existing on the account. So if you click into customer status inquiry, first thing you're going to be asked to select the customer that you would like to work with. Once you've selected your customer, you're going to get that customer's information. You're going to be able to view the customer's ongoing credit information. And what we're looking at here is whether or not they have a credit limit. It'll let you know their on order balance or basically any open orders. If they have any deposits sitting on jobs, that'll be displayed. You'll see their current AR due, and then the system does have some accumulating totals that'll just go on as that customer does business with you. Below the summary fields, we have your full details for that customer. What will be displayed here are any invoices, deposits, or payments that that customer has made so that you can see an overall status for this customer. One additional tool you have here in customer status inquiry is the ability to print a statement. If you would like to print a statement for this specific customer, you can simply hit the print statement button and you will get this AR statement printing screen where the customer is automatically selected for you. And then you do have the ability to add in a bit more filters or printing options for your statement so that you can then hit the continue button to print it. I will return to this AR statement printing screen in a bit so that we can go through these functionalities and filters in a bit more detail. For now, I'll go ahead and hit cancel. And this is our customer status inquiry screen, again, giving us a quick overview and visual of that customer's balances and their account and all of their transactions. Now, moving on here in accounts receivable, we're going to look at a few items that are intended for clearing out data and end of month processes. Here in AR Purge account activity, you'll be able to move any cleared AR to history so that it's not appearing in any front end screens and it'll only appear on historical reports. This is necessary for some of those visual screens like we just saw in customer status inquiry, so that anything that is again cleared or at a $0 balance can be moved to history and it's not bogging down your visual screens in front of you for those quick looks. This is a simple screen to use. The first thing you will do is select the company that you are purging activity for. It will default to your company that you are working in. If you're only working in one company, then this will not pertain to you and it should only be your default company. Next, you're going to enter your purge date so that you may keep some recent items still visible on those status inquiry screens, and only older items will be moved to history. Once you've selected your date that you would like to purge activity for, you'll simply hit your run, and any items that were cleared at 0 will now have been purged and moved to history. The next purge option we have is our closed deposit purge. I'll go ahead and click into that. This AR closed deposit purge works identical to the purge that we just saw. However, this one is specific to deposits. So again, if you would like to get rid of deposits that are at $0 or that have been wiped, so if you would like to get rid of historical deposits that have already been used and cleared, then you can go ahead and use this clearing report and move all those $0 items or used closed deposits to history. To do that, you'll simply hit your continue button. However, you do have the ability to limit your purge range if you choose so. If you select it, it'll give you the ability to enter a date so that you can limit your purge deposits based off of the date you select. After that has been selected and confirmed again, we can just hit continue to purge our deposits. Once you hit continue, all deposits that have been closed will be purged. One more process in the end of month process for accounts receivable is the actual end of month processing module. This module should be run at the end of every month after all month end AR reports have been run and before any new activity is entered in the system for the next month. When you run this module, the system performs internal procedures to clear all month-to-date fields in the AR modules. You have the option to also process zero balance items by checking the Purge zero balance items here. If you would also like to add in a purge date, you may do so with the drop-down date field. And once ready to process, simply hit run. You'll get a confirmation that the process has been completed. And that is it for the end of month processing module. Back in our accounts receivable menu, we're now going to go ahead and look into a few reports. I'll go ahead and click into our AR reports option. And the first report that I want to look at is our customer master listing report. Here in our customer master listing, this will allow you to do just that, print out a full listing of your customers. You can do a full list by leaving all of your filter options open. If you would like to print out a specific customer file, you can select them in the customer ID box, or you can just leave it blank to print out a full listing of all your customers. If you would like a listing based off of your sales territories, you have that drop down ability here. Some additional filters you have are to print out a listing based off of customer activity or based off of when that customer was actually created in the system. If there is no invoice data for a customer, you can select to exclude them from the listing. If you do not want ship to codes to print out on the report, you can check to have that excluded as well. And then you do have options of the type of report. If you want the original report, which would be a full detail, you would leave that checked. If you only want to see customer addresses, you have the ability to check that option as well. Hitting print will send this to your printer of choice. However, if you want this file to go to your Excel so that you can further edit it or take this listing elsewhere, you can go ahead and hit the Excel button. You can hit and the system will then send this report to Excel so that you can work on it as needed. The system will then open an Excel file displaying the customer listing that you decided to print out. Closing out of this, I will go ahead and exit back out to our AR reports. And the next report we want to go ahead and look at is your ability to print statements out of the system. So I'll go ahead and select this box. Here in our AR statement print area, this will give you the ability to do just that, print out statements for the overall account for a customer. The system will default to a plain paper selected and the new graphical selected. You can go ahead and leave those as is. Company ID will default to the company you're working in, but can be changed if you do have multiple companies. The statement date that you would like printed on your statement is selectable here. And then next you have the ability for who you want to And then next you have the ability to select who you want to print your statement for. If you are doing a customer specific statement, then you can go ahead and select that specific customer by clicking into the customer ID box. Or if you are sending statements to multiple customers, you can leave it wide open. Or you also have the ability to send statements based off of a customer's territory code. After you selected your customer, you do have some additional printing options to sort your statement by zip code, print customer POs on the statement, signifying whether it is a restart, or sorting these statements by different branches. After these filters, you have the ability to add in a message to print out on the statement. And then last, here we have some final AR statement options. If you would like 0 statements to print out, if you would like to show the applied credit detail, if you want 0 balance, invoices omitted, if you want to show negative statements, if you would like ship to addresses to be displayed on the statement, if you want order numbers displayed, and finally, if you would like some spacing between the different invoices on how the statement is printing, you can select that here. All of these down below are optional filters, just depending on what information that you would like displayed on the statement. Once you are happy with all of the filters you've selected, you can hit continue to print out the statement. Or if you would like to email the statement only, you would simply check the email statement box first and then hit continue to get that emailed. If you are printing out statements for multiple customers rather than a customer specific statement, you have the ability to print out invalid emails so that any emails that don't get sent through will print out from your actual printer so that you know which statements would still need to be attended to or sent out to your customer. And that is basically it for your AR statements. I'll go ahead and select cancel to go back out to my AR reports menu. The last report we are going to look at for today is our AR aging report. To get there, we are still here in our AR reports menu 1. We are now going to jump into AR reports menu 2. Here in menu 2, we're going to look at our AR aging report. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And here is our AR aging report menu options. These will be all different types of settings so that you can get the aging report of your choice or an as of report. The most typical reports used are a standard or an as of report. After you selected your type of report, you can select your aging date. Once your date is selected, you have the ability to do a summary report or a detail report, just depending on how much information that you would like displayed. After your summary or detail report options, you do have a quick display totals button. If you click display totals, it is going to give you a simple overview of all the grand totals based off of the date that you have entered for the report. You can hit continue to close out that box. After your aging date options, you have your sort by options, just basically giving you the ability on how you want the report to be sorted by. After that, you do have the ability to select customers. If you're doing a wide aging report, you would leave your customers blank so that it says all. Or if you did want a specific aging report for a customer, you can select those customers by clicking into the customer buttons. Beyond doing customer filters, you do have the ability to get your AR aging report based off of some additional filters here. If you would like a report based off of your sales rep, you can select that sales rep from the dropdown. If you would like it based off of a territory, you can select that from this next dropdown. And last but not least, a report based off of your different branches. If that pertains to you, you have that ability here. If you want customer credit limits displayed, you would select this box. If you want credit balance information excluded, you would select the next one. And then we have the ability to separate your credit items from your invoice items. If you want customer PO information to print, if you want to see ship to addresses for all of your lines, and if you want the report sorted by ship to codes. Lastly, you have the ability on how you want the invoice to be aged by, if it was by invoice date or if it's based off of due date. And then the ability to select what invoices you want to print based off of the actual age and the actual balance amount. You will notice that some of these are grayed out. A lot of these options will become available if you select your detail report up top. The detail report will give you the ability to select more options as it states in the name, a more detailed report. Once you are happy with all of your selections, whether it's summary or detail, all of your filters, and then all of your printing options, you'll go ahead and hit print to print it to an actual printer of your choice. Or if you would like to send this document to Excel, you can go ahead and hit the green Excel button. After you've selected all of your necessary filters, you can go ahead and hit your print button, as well as a final summary at the bottom of the report giving you grand totals. And that would be your AR aging report. I can go ahead and close out of this to return back to the system. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week when we continue on in AR with cash receipts and those related reports. For more information on BMS or any other broad loop